I've passed over 30 evaluations across 6 different prop firms, and in this video, I wanted to show you my exact risk management strategy that I used to do so. Once I describe the 2 different approaches that I used, I would like to provide you some form of action plan for what you can take away and my own recommendations given your own specific circumstances. And for full transparency, even as someone who has taken multiple payouts from different prop firms, I still fail evaluations to this day. However, at the end of the day, it's just a matter of probabilities. So as long as you're taking out more than you put in, then you will be net profitable. I will now be going into the 2 different approaches that I've used. We have 1, the conservative approach, and 2, the aggressive approach. The first approach I'll be talking about is the conservative approach. So in general, this will take a bit longer to pass. However, you will have a higher pass percentage so long as you are trading with a profitable edge. And that is the key differentiator between the conservative and aggressive approach. It's the fact that with the conservative approach, you're basically trading it as if you're trading your own live account. So if you are unable to make money over the long term, then the conservative approach won't really work for you. And the way how I like to calculate my risk is by taking the drawdown. So let's say, for example, in a 50K account, usually they'll offer a drawdown of 2,000 or 2,500. So for now, we'll just say 2,000. You take your drawdown and you divide it by your max number of losses from your backtesting. So this does require you to backtest and have an idea of your max number of losses or consecutive losses. And this is something that you can find through your own testing or by simulating Monte Carlo results, where based on your win rate, they will take sample sizes of 1,000, 2,000 trades, and they'll go ahead and calculate the max number of consecutive losses for your specific win rate. And going back to the example with the 50K account, if you have a 2K drawdown and let's say a 50% win rate, your max number of losses might be somewhere around 10 in a row. So you'll take 2,000 divided by 10, and from there, you'll be risking $200 every single trade. For my own personal example, when I just started trading prop firms and I was getting used to the different rules and I didn't have much cash to deploy right away, I did go with the conservative route just because over the long term, you do have a higher pass rate percentage. Although the profits might come a little bit later, you are increasing the odds that the funds that you are investing actually has a return once you take out a payout. And for the aggressive approach, in general, compared to the conservative approach, you will have a lower pass rate just because of how much you are risking per trade. It also tends to be a lot more emotionally inducing, meaning that if you're someone who has difficulty following their plan, you will probably be unable to fully capitalize on this aggressive approach just due to the nature of passing and failing more often. And if you are someone who struggles dealing with emotions and is unable to follow their plan, go ahead and message me on Instagram. For the first 5 people who do so, I will give them a free one-on-one coaching call once a week for 4 weeks straight. And because we'll be meeting on a weekly basis, we can go through your specific problems, and from there I can give you a good action plan in order to help you follow your strategy. Unlike the conservative approach, where you have to have a profitable strategy, with the aggressive approach, you don't necessarily have to be profitable over the long term. So what you're essentially doing is, because you are risking more per trade, you are trying to capitalize on the periods of green within any strategy. So even if you have a long-term negative expectancy strategy, there are still going to be periods of time where you might have a green streak. And with prop firms, so long as you can pass the evaluations fast and from there move on to funded and win a few more trades in a row, then you can take out more in payouts and therefore have a higher return on investment by only investing, for example, $200 for an evaluation, but getting back $1,000 to $2,000. And in this portion of the video, I'll go ahead and be talking about how you should structure your risk when doing the aggressive approach. In general, it does favor a higher win rate. And this is just because when you have a higher win rate, the odds of having multiple consecutive winning trades is obviously a lot more higher compared to if you had a lower win rate. So therefore, even if you don't have the best reward to risk ratio, in a random bunch of 10 trades, you are most likely going to pass the account and also be able to take out a payout. So if you have a win rate around 65 to 70%, I recommend taking your total drawdown. So in this case, if you have a 50K evaluation and the drawdown is 2,000, take the drawdown and divide it by 2. Therefore, you'll now be risking $1,000 per trade. If you have a win rate of around 45 to 55%, in other words, a coin flip, take your drawdown and divide it by 4. And lastly, if you have a win rate of around 25 to 35%, so maybe you're winning 1 in every 3, 1 in every 4 trades, then I recommend taking your total drawdown and dividing it by 6. So in each of these examples, you are most likely going to have at least one winning trade per set of evaluation accounts. And now I'll be going into my personal recommendations for how I believe you should structure your risk management. So for the conservative approach, if you are someone who doesn't have much income, let's say you're a student, or if you're only dealing with a pot of funds where there's no cash flow into that trading capital, then I recommend doing the conservative approach because the odds that you pass each evaluation is a lot higher compared to if you are doing the aggressive approach. Alongside this, if you don't have income that you're putting into your trading account, there is an increased pressure to take out payouts, and that subconsciously will mess with your execution and therefore decrease your ability to take that payout. I also recommend it for those of you who are risking a high percentage of your capital per set of accounts. So if you have a trading account of $10,000 and you're planning to risk almost $1,000 per set of evaluation accounts in order to get funded, then I recommend that you take the conservative approach because that is how you're going to increase the odds that you actually pass those accounts. Alongside this, I recommend it for beginners. So those who want to trade the prop firm route and are almost treating it like a live account. So in that regard, they are focused on refining their own system, or you don't yet have the confidence of taking out multiple payouts yet. Essentially, if you're just trying to build good habits first and you're not quite in the scaling stage yet, then I recommend that you take the conservative approach. Whereas if you are someone who has more experience with prop firms, you've taken payouts in the past, and you have more trading funds to invest in prop firms, then I recommend that you go the aggressive route. And this is because you are able to take out payouts much faster and you're solely focused on utilizing prop firms in the most efficient manner possible. And because you're going to go through the cycle of investing and failing different accounts, you want to make sure that you have a relatively large amount of trading funds compared to what you're investing per set of accounts. So if I have a $20,000 trading account and I'm willing to risk $500 per set of evaluations, $500 out of 20,000 isn't really that much, and therefore I have the mental freedom to know that I don't have to pass this specific prop firm evaluation. Even if you are risking a high percentage of your overall capital per set of accounts, so let's say that you're risking $1,000 out of your $5,000 pot. However, you have high cash flow, meaning that you have a lot of income, your necessities are covered for, then you can always replenish the trading pot, and therefore I recommend you to also experiment with the aggressive approach so long as you have the experience. And that wraps up the end of this guide. If you found it useful, or if you have any questions, go ahead and leave something in the comments. I'll also be leaving a link to the video which I just made in regards to how you can improve your trading at any stage.